your host, Grom Ironfoot.
And I'm Elara Brightstar. We're here to talk all things TTRPG, from character builds to hilarious role-playing moments. Trust me, there'll be plenty of those.
Ah, yes, plenty indeed. For those of you joining us for the first time, this podcast dives deep into archetypes, tips, and strategies for bringing your characters to life. If you like mechanics, optimization, and occasionally breaking the DM's encounter math, well,
and if you love the drama, the creativity, and the absolute chaos of storytelling, then you're in the right place. We've got something for everyone.
Exactly. Elara and I are a bit of a two-headed beast here. I'll be your guide through the strategy, the numbers, and, I guess we'll call it the logic.
While I bring the heart and chaos naturally.
Naturally. But together, we'll walk you through what makes a character memorable, both mechanically and emotionally. And, probably argue about which is more important.
Oh, spoiler, it's me. Emotion always wins.
We'll let the listeners decide that one. Anyway, grab your dice, your character sheets, and a little imagination. Let's dive in. Speaking of memorable characters, let's dive into one of my favorite classes, the Gnome Artificer. I mean, they're like the Swiss Army knives of TTRPG characters. You've got gadgets, infusions, and enough creativity to keep both the party and the DM on their toes. One of my favorites was a gnome named Tinkertop. His hallmark invention? A mechanical owl.
A mechanical owl? Why am I not surprised? That's so you, Grom.
Very effective, though. In one battle, my party was losing badly, outnumbered and outmaneuvered. But Tinkertop sent his owl swooping through the battlefield with an alchemist's fire attached to its talons. The small burst of flame stalled our foes just long enough for us to regroup. No one saw it coming.
Honestly, neither would I. That's brilliant, but also kind of chaotic. Wait, did anyone in the party get singed?
A little. Collateral damage happens.
Of course it does. But that's where the fun of these characters shines, doesn't it? It's not just about what they can build, but who they are while building it. Quirky traits, funny flaws, those can make a character unforgettable. Tell me Tinkertop had some eccentricities to match his owl.
Oh, definitely. He was obsessed, absolutely obsessed with measuring everything. Distance, weight, time, you name it, Tinkertop had a tool for it. I think he once interrupted a stealth mission to argue about the decibel level of a party member's footsteps.
I love it. See, that's the kind of trait that takes a character from interesting to memorable. But it's not just for laughs. Those quirks can unearth deeper themes too. Like, maybe Tinkertop measures everything because he's trying to create order in a chaotic world.
I suppose I hadn't thought about it like that, but yeah, maybe. Or maybe he just liked math. Either way, it made him unique.
Exactly. And the beauty of a Gnome Artificer is how much space you're given to play with that uniqueness. They're inventors, but they're also playful, curious, and wonderfully chaotic. Leaning into that can give a campaign so much richness.
And I'll admit, they do add humour to the table. I still remember Tinkertop trying to use a magic infusion to repair a wheelbarrow and accidentally giving it sentience. Took us hours to calm it down.
Wait, what? A sentient wheelbarrow? Oh, please tell me it had feelings about being overloaded.
Oh, it did, and it was loud about it, which, drew some guards. But hey, quirks like that just make things unpredictable, and unpredictability can be, well, tactical in its own way. Speaking of unpredictability, here's the thing about playing an artificer yourself. You've got to leap into that chaos, but with a strategy. There are 3 things you've gotta, no, you must keep in mind. First, your spellcasting. Prioritize utility spells over flashy damage. Remember, you're not a wizard. Spells like Fairy Fire and Enhance Ability? Absolute gold. They can turn the tide of encounters without relying on raw damage output.
Wait, Fairy Fire as the first tip? Really, Grom?
Oh, absolutely. The thing is, positioning matters, Elara. Fairy Fire gives your party advantage on attacks, making every hit count. And trust me, Rogues will love you for it. Plus, it helps against those pesky invisible foes. That's efficiency and strategy rolled into one spell.
All right, fair point. And I guess it's not just about what you cast, but how it amplifies the group. What's next?
Next, infusions. Pick the right ones and consider what the party lacks. For example, if your group's missing decent armor, go for enhanced defense or replicate a bag of holding for extra storage. I once used the returning weapon infusion on a simple dagger, and the barbarian treated it like a divine relic. He couldn't get enough of chucking it into everything.
A barbarian with a magical boomerang dagger? Now that's a mental image I'm not forgetting. Please tell me someone wrote that into the party lore.
Oh, they wrote songs. But infusions aren't just fun. They enhance both survival and creativity. Just don't waste them on things the party doesn't need, because those slots are limited and precious.
Got it. Use them wisely. All right, what's tip number 3?
Roleplay. Honestly, artificers are so ripe for rich characterization because every invention tells a story. Inject quirks into everything you build. Like, imagine crafting a mechanical familiar that refuses to follow orders until you bribe it with coin.
Oh, that's perfect. A miserly clockwork bird, maybe? Pay me or no scouting. That's so much character flavor.
Exactly. Roleplay adds depth. An artificer doesn't just create, they shape the campaign's world with their inventions. Embrace that, and the game becomes that much more immersive for both you and your party.
I love it. You've definitely sold me on adding some spice to my next artificer. Although, maybe one that doesn't argue over decibel levels.
Hey now, quirks are quirks. Just remember, an artificer with practical spells, sharp infusions, and well-crafted quirks can be the backbone of the party. Balance utility, storytelling, and a healthy dash of chaos.
You know, speaking of crafting character with quirks and flair, let's talk about one of the most iconic archetypes in tabletop gaming, the elf wizard. I mean, if imagination were distilled into a character, this would be it, wouldn't it? The long, flowing robes, the ancient tomes, the air of elegance. They're like poetry in motion.
Graceful, sure. But there's some serious substance behind that style, Elara. Mechanically, they're one of the most versatile classes out there. I mean, they...
Hold up. We'll get to the mechanics, Grom. Let me paint a picture first. Imagine this. You're walking into a negotiation between warring factions. Everyone expects spells and fireworks, but instead, your elf wizard steps forward and bam! Diplomacy saves the day. That's the magic within the magic, using intelligence and charisma as tools of resolution. I had a campaign once where my wizard did just that, saved an entire city from a siege without casting a single offensive spell. It was unforgettable.
Impressive. But you're ignoring one thing. Wizards might have diplomacy, but their true strength is their arsenal. A well-prepared spell list is everything. You've got control, damage, support. It's a toolbox that eclipses just about every other class.
Sure, but isn't it the stories we tell with those tools that really matter? Like, any wizard can toss out a fireball. But what if your elf wizard refuses to use fire magic because of a tragic accident in their past? Suddenly it's not just a spell choice, it's a character-defining moment. I love layering those kinds of details.
I see your point. But mechanically speaking, limiting your spells like that could backfire, especially in combat-heavy campaigns. You've got to strike a balance between flavor and function.
But the challenge is part of the fun, isn't it? A limited spell repertoire forces creativity. One of my wizards leaned heavily on spells like Charm Person and Minor Illusion, instead of blasting everything in sight. Worked like a charm, literally.
And while I respect that, creativity without preparation can be disastrous. Take defensive options like shield or counterspell. Without them in your spellbook, you might not survive long enough to charm anyone.
True. But then, an elf wizard isn't just a fighter, they're a thinker, a strategist, playing ones like solving a puzzle in real time. One of my favourite things to do was lure enemies into traps with clever illusions. Oh, there was this one time we trapped a band of mercenaries inside a dreaming spell and…
While illusions can be effective, let's not forget about scaling impact. A sleep spell's great when dealing with low-level mobs, but you'll need to shift tactics as the campaign progresses. Spells like Dispel Magic or Wall of Force bring more consistent value long-term.
Oh, absolutely. But spells aren't just about power. They're an extension of your character's personality. Think about how an enchantment-heavy wizard comes across in the story. Someone insightful, persuasive, maybe even a little manipulative.
And then there's the opposite. A wizard taking evocation to its fullest potential, leaning into raw destruction. Efficient? Absolutely. But it lacks nuance.
Which is fine if nuance isn't your thing. That's the magic of the class, though. They let you lean into who you are or who you want to be, no matter the angle. Honestly, watching someone else's wizard unfold is one of the great joys of a campaign.
Agreed. But for players stepping into the role of a wizard for the first time, preparation, I cannot stress this enough, is everything. Level up your spellbook thoughtfully. It'll define how you play the character.
And don't forget to add a bit of flair. That signature spell or eccentric quirk that makes your elf wizard stand out. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about casting spells. It's about casting a story. So, picking up from where we left off, the versatility of wizards isn't just about mechanics, right? It's about storytelling too. They're the ultimate spellcasters, weaving knowledge and flair into something unforgettable, whether it's an elf wizard's elegance or a fire-flinging powerhouse.
You mean a careful balance of preparation and execution, surely?
Oh, absolutely. But there's so much more to it. Let's talk top tips for wizards, shall we? Here's my first. Plan your spells with creativity in mind, not just efficiency. Pick spells that, yes, do the job, but also help define your character. Like you could go basic and grab Firebolt, or you could grab something like Magic Missile and describe each dart as a glowing rune or an intricate ice shard. Suddenly, it's not just a spell, it's a story moment.
Style over substance, huh?
Oh no, style and substance, Grom. Wizards don't have to choose. And that brings me to my second tip. Learn to pace yourself with spell slots. A wizard that blows all their big spells in the first fight is, well, a wizard that's useless in the next fight. Build momentum. Cast smaller spells early, like shield or mage armor, while saving the flashy stuff for when it counts. I learned that the hard way. Trust me.
Wise advice, but it sounds suspiciously like restraint. Isn't that what you wizards thrive on?
Believe me, restraint is relative. But tip 3's the real magic. Lean into roleplay. A wizard's power isn't just in their spellbook, it's in their perspective. Use intelligence as a role-playing tool. For example, my elf wizard once had this quirk where she annotated everything. Maps, spell scrolls, even menus in taverns. It created friction, sure, but also some hilarious party dynamics. One of the fighters accused her of writing a bad star chart that cursed his dice rolls for a week.
Annotation as character development. I suppose there's logic to it, though I'd argue it's still a series of unnecessary distractions.
Oh, but those distractions are gold for storytelling. Wizards are meant to be unique and eccentric. It's what makes them exciting to play. Whether it's a spellbook full of doodles or a familiar with an attitude, details like that breathe life into your character. And they make great stories to tell later, don't they?
I'll give you that. A wizard with personality, and function, of course, does stand out at the table. All right, Elara. Speaking of storytelling gold, let's expand that beyond wizards. What about the party itself? Character synergy, when strengths and quirks play off each other, is what takes a collection of adventurers and turns them into a legendary team. It's like magic, but without dipping into your spell slots.
Or with the spell slots if one of your party members happens to be a wizard. But yes, party dynamics can turn a group from just adventurers into something much more cohesive. Remember that campaign where you played a Gnome Artificer and I was the Elf Wizard?
How could I forget? That pairing was unexpectedly efficient. Your wizard didn't just blow things up all the time.
Not all the time.
Right, not all the time. You leaned more into illusions and enchantments, which actually complemented my more tactical approach as the artificer. I'd handle the problem-solving side.
And I'd handle the chaos. Like when we trapped those trolls by combining my wall of fire with that smoke-spewing contraption of yours. The DM definitely didn't see that one coming.
No one besides you saw it coming, Elara. But that's the beauty of synergy. Combining abilities to create outcomes neither of you could pull off alone. It's problem-solving through cooperation.
Exactly. And it's not just tactical. Synergy adds so much to storytelling. Think about those moments when the party has to work together, not just because they're adventurers, but because they are their characters. Different goals, different dynamics. It's storytelling gold.
It is. And it's not always clean or perfectly balanced. Like that one campaign where the bard refused to heal the barbarian because of a quarrel over loot. It created tension, sure, but it also created some incredible role-playing opportunities.
Oh, absolutely. Those imperfect dynamics can create some of the best moments. I once had a rogue who hated my wizard because he thought she was too manipulative, but then we ended up in a situation where his life depended on my teleport spell. The whole thing was dripping with roleplay tension, and I loved every second of it.
And look, for players, thinking about synergy doesn't mean building a party with perfect optimization. It means building characters that work well together in interesting ways. Think about how a warlock's hexes could amplify a monk's flurry of blows, or how a druid and a ranger could tag team to reshape the battlefield.
Or how an artificer and a wizard can combine strategy and chaos for absolutely unpredictable results. I mean, who needs predictability anyway?
I could make a strong case for predictability, but you're right. When party dynamics click, even the chaos becomes part of the strategy.
Exactly. So, listeners, next time you're building a party, don't just think about what your character can do. Think about what they can do together. That's where the real magic happens.
And that's the heart of TTRPGs, isn't it? Teamwork, creativity, and maybe just a little bit of chaos.
Oh, definitely a little chaos. And on that note, that's all from us today, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this journey into character creation and storytelling.
We hope you walk away inspired to make your characters not just stronger, but also more connected to their party. On that note, we'll catch you next time.
Happy gaming, folks!